A massive international cybercrime operation has been dismantled. In coordinated raids across the United States and beyond, federal agents shut down ShadowCrew, one of the world's largest underground hacking and credit card theft forums. Authorities say thousands of stolen identities, millions of dollars in fraud, and dozens of hackers and carders were connected through this single online network. Servers have been seized, suspects arrested, and investigators confirm the criminals believed they were anonymous, but were secretly monitored for years. This takedown marks one of the biggest cybercrime busts in internet history.
It ended in silence, the kind that follows a digital explosion. In 2004, dozens of hackers and credit card thieves logged into what they believed was the most secure cybercrime forum on the planet, ShadowCrew, a place where stolen identities were currency, where credit card numbers flowed like cash, where trust was built on reputation scores, not names. But that night, as fingers hovered over keyboards, the illusion shattered. Federal agents were already inside. Servers were seized. Screens went dark. Doors were kicked open across multiple states. And one by one, the most dangerous cyber criminals of the early internet era realized something terrifying. They hadn't been hunted. They had been watched. This is the story of the ShadowCrew bust. How a secret online empire rose in the shadows of the early web, and how it was taken down from the inside. To understand ShadowCrew, you have to understand the internet at the turn of the millennium. This was not the sleek, polished web we know today. It was raw, fragmented, anonymous. Broadband was spreading, online shopping was exploding, and security was lagging behind. Credit card numbers traveled the internet in plain text. Databases were poorly protected, and teenagers with basic technical skills could cause millions of dollars in damage without ever leaving their bedrooms. It was a gold rush, and the currency was stolen data. Before ShadowCrew, there were smaller forums, crude message boards where criminals traded stolen credit cards, known as carding. Numbers were exchanged. Trust was rare. Scams were common. Deals often ended with betrayal. But as the stakes grew, so did the need for structure. Criminals didn't just want chaos. They wanted organization. They wanted rules, reputation systems, moderators. They wanted something that looked disturbingly like a legitimate business. ShadowCrew wasn't the first cybercrime forum, but it was the most ambitious. Founded in the early 2000s, ShadowCrew positioned itself not as a marketplace, but as a community. Membership was selective. New users had to prove themselves. Reputation mattered. Inside, you could buy stolen credit cards, full identity profiles, names, social security numbers, addresses, counterfeit documents, hacking tutorials, fraud tools. It was crime, professionalized, and it was growing fast. Trust was ShadowCrew's most valuable asset. Members rated each other. Scammers were banned. Moderators enforced rules with ruthless efficiency. Ironically, this criminal forum became safer than many legitimate online marketplaces. And that's what made it dangerous. Because when criminals trust each other, they grow bolder. As ShadowCrew expanded, banks noticed unusual fraud patterns. Millions of dollars were disappearing. Investigators traced the damage, not to one person, but to a network, a digital syndicate. By 2002, ShadowCrew had crossed a line. It was no longer just an internet curiosity, it was a national security problem. The FBI didn't knock on ShadowCrew's door, they slipped inside. Undercover agents created fake identities, they learned the language. They built reputations slowly. Weeks turned into months. Every message was logged, every deal documented. ShadowCrew believed it was invisible. It was wrong. Success breeds arrogance. As ShadowCrew thrived, members grew careless. They bragged. They reused usernames. They shared personal details, cities, schedules, habits. The digital masks slipped, and law enforcement was taking notes. Online crime still touches the real world. Money has to move. Packages have to ship. Accounts have to exist. Agents followed wire transfers, mail drops, fraudulent purchases. Slowly, ShadowCrew's invisible empire became visible. Then came the moment that changed everything. An undercover agent was trusted, deeply trusted, invited into the inner circle. The gates were open, and ShadowCrew had no idea it had already lost. This wasn't a single arrest. It was a coordinated strike. Dozens of suspects, multiple states, international connections. Timing had to be perfect. One wrong move, and the forum would vanish overnight. In October 2004, the trap was sprung. Servers were seized, homes were searched, keyboards went silent. ShadowCrew collapsed in hours. Years of digital crime gone. The underground froze. Forums shut down overnight. Criminals erased hard drives. Trust evaporated. If ShadowCrew could fall, anyone could. Sentences followed. Prison time. Financial penalties. Lives permanently altered. The internet had changed. ShadowCrew didn't end cybercrime, but it changed it forever. Law enforcement learned the internet could be infiltrated. Criminals learned anonymity was fragile. The shadows were no longer safe. ShadowCrew believed it ruled the dark corners of the internet. But in the end, the shadows were watching back. And when the lights came on, there was nowhere left to hide. If you want more gripping true crime stories like this, hit like and subscribe and never miss a case.